Hey, it's Jared. Today I'm going to be unboxing and setting up the Pyxis 6K from Blackmagic. This is a long time coming. It is a year, just about exactly a year, since I got to put my hands on a Pyxis for the first time at NAB 2024. In a couple of days, I'll be heading to NAB 2025. And so I'm finally getting my hands on one, and I also have the Monitor EV kit and a variety of accessories that we're going to bolt onto the camera. So let's start by unboxing the camera. The camera is packaged just like most other Blackmagic equipment is. Let's get it open here and take a look at this boxy camera body. I've been really wanting to get my hands on one of these because the camera that I'm looking into right now is the Blackmagic Studio 6K Pro, and the top-down camera is the Micro Studio, and I also have two other Micro Studio cameras in my setup here. And I just love using the Blackmagic cameras because the image quality is so good considering the cost of the device. So I've just become a Blackmagic fan over the last couple of years since I started using these cameras. So you've got a power brick that it comes with, as well as adapters regionally for the power brick. We'll go ahead and set those aside because I have several of those power bricks out and likely will not need any of them for this particular camera. So let's set that off to the side and just take a look at this camera body. This has everything that you would need to build out a handheld or a gimbal run setup. I did go with the PL mount because I have a lot of PL mount lenses, and even though they make this available in a few other mounts, PL is just the most universally adaptable, and I have a variety of lenses that I can use on this, and we'll take a look at a couple of those lenses after we get this built out. So let's take a look next at the top plate for the Blackmagic. This is from 8sin, and this is the top plate that we will be able to mount a handle to. As far as other accessories, we do have the Pyxis Monitor EVF kit, but I won't be using that all the time. I'll mostly be using that when I'm in a shoulder setup or perhaps even a handheld setup occasionally, but most of the time I probably will be using this camera on a gimbal, and when on a gimbal I'll have a rather minimal setup to keep the weight down. All right, here we have the top plate and mounting hardware, and here on the top of the camera this will mount just like so. We'll probably go this direction here, and everything lines up really nice. We've got 4 holes here for these 1/4-20 bolts to attach to. So we'll go ahead and put those in place and tighten those down. Now looking at this top plate, you can see we've got a ton of 1/4-20s. We also have some 3/8s that have locking pins all the way around as well. We also have NATO up front here with locking pins on the side so that we can put a handle here. We've got a couple of additional 1/4-20s out to the edges. And then if you look at the sides, we also have 3/8s with the locking pins, as well as a bunch of 1/4-20s along both sides. So lots of potential mounting points on the top and the side here. I did put this order together a while ago, and it took a little while for it to get to me. So I'm not 100% sure that I have everything that I need here, but I have most of what we'll need to at least get the camera functional. And I'll be taking this camera with me to NAB 2025 to capture a bunch of footage of that event. So we also have the side plate, and there's 2 different options as far as the side plate goes. We've got a smaller side plate here with a Rosette mount. So we've got 1/4-20 with the Rosette, and so it wouldn't make sense to use this handle on a side plate, but essentially this would be for a handle, and this allows you to rotate at different angles. And I do have a handle, I just need to look for it, that I could use potentially with this plate. But there's also another plate that you can attach to the side that is significantly larger. This plate mounts like so. You remove these 4 screws here, and then this mount plate would go just like that. And we have a ton of 1/4-20, a ton of 3/8s with locating pins. We also have a Rosette here, another 3/8s with pins, and some more 1/4-20s. Then we also have a cold shoe mount here, which would be great for onboard audio. So let's go ahead and remove these factory screws here, and we will place our new plate in place of the factory plate. So in order to remove these, you will need a 2.5 millimeter hex or Allen wrench to remove these. And the 8-cent plate comes with its own screws and wrench for those screws. All right, let's review what we've got going on. So far, we have a top plate with a bunch of additional mounts and a side plate. The next item that we're going to look at is our universal SSD holder, and this is from Tilta. This is going to allow us to mount a solid state drive to our unit so that we can record externally. And I'm not 100% sure where we are going to end up mounting this yet. Might end up mounting it on the side. And so a good location for this might be right around here. And it comes with one screw that I can attach. It has 2 different locations for that based on where you might be mounting this. So we'll thread this in and we'll just place it right here for now. May end up needing to move it depending on how I end up rigging out the rest of this camera. All right, let's go ahead and open up the EVF. All right, now in the EVF box here, we've got the EVF and a assortment of mounting attachments and rods. Let's go ahead and mount the bracket to the side of the EVF. So it looks like one of the things that's required in order to mount the EVF using the included equipment that it came with is the actual top handle from Blackmagic. And that is something that did not make it in this shipment. And so I don't have a way to attach these rods. I do have some other adapters that I could put on here that would allow me to mount these rods, but it would be kind of a hokey setup, and I'm probably just going to wait for that handle to come in. I don't need to use this specific mounting setup. I can use a different mounting setup to mount the EVF, but more as a monitor on the side or top of this camera. So instead, what I'm going to end up using is this small rig handle, which is perfect for this NATO rail right on the top here. So we'll go ahead and just slide this right on, push down that locking pin, and we can center up this handle and tighten it down. And for the moment, I'm going to go ahead and use this swivel right on top. I know I have a better adapter around here somewhere that's not a swivel. It's more like this, where it'll just rotate forward and backward, which is what I really want it to do. So we'll go ahead and attach the EVF to the top here just so that we can say that it is mounted and I can get it connected. But this is not where it's going to end up because a swivel just wouldn't be the best option for this, but it would give me the articulation that I need in order to mount it a little bit forward. So if I'm handheld and I'm a little bit lower, I can adjust that monitor and have it at a good viewing angle. Now the camera comes with 2 different length USB-C cables. There is a port on the front for viewfinder, and it is locking as well. And there is one on the back that you could use. Either of these will work. So we're going to go ahead and attach the USB-C to the front with the locking, and we'll go ahead and lock that down. And then we'll attach the other end to the back of the monitor. My power method for this of choice when I'm out in the field is going to be this small rig battery. I'll V-mount that to the back with another plate, and this will be able to power not only the camera, but any other onboard accessories, because it does have a D-tap, and then it also has some USB outputs here as well as some barrel outputs. And so this will work really well once I get this built out the rest of the way. But for now, let's just go ahead and connect the pin connector to the back of the camera, and we can get this thing powered up. But first we need to put a lens on it. Now I have the entire Athena PL mount lineup, and I'm going to put the 35 millimeter on the front of this camera. So let's go ahead and take the cap off and line up and mount this PL mount lens. And there we go. And let's go ahead and power on the camera for the very first time. All right, we'll select English, and essentially it's ready to go. It recognizes that we don't have any storage attached at the moment. So we'll need to grab our attached storage, which I have just off camera here. I have a 4 terabyte SanDisk. Let's go ahead and slide this USB-C cable right in here, and then we'll just twist this down and lock it into place. Now this has a flathead slot in it, but I don't think that it needs to be any more than finger tight. What you can do when you need to remove the drive is just simply slide the drive right out like so, which is great. But once we have this all connected, we just want to make sure that everything is snug, tightened down. There's also one right down here. We'll get that done, and then we'll connect our USB to the back of the camera. Now you can see that the drive has been recognized here. We can go into the menu, and we can start to configure. Right now we're set at open gate or Blackmagic Raw. We've got our compression setting here, which I probably would go down to 5.1. Obviously, the higher the number, the more compression, lower the number, less compression. We can also peel off this safety covering on the display here as well. And let's actually open up this monitor. We'll pop this open, and we do have the monitor working, which is awesome. So on Blackmagic cameras, you have the ability to set your output for the LCD display, the SDI, or the EVF, and you can change what is displayed on the front of all of these. So right now, with our EVF attached, we have all of the information on the EVF, so it's not a clean feed. If we were going out over SDI to a digital recorder, we would definitely want a clean feed. And then we can toggle through some of the monitor settings here just to see what we have. We've got highlight zebra, we can turn skin tone zebra on as well, and then what our focus assist color is, and then how much of that focus assist level that we need. And we can make adjustments to our EVF brightness here as well. Now we can switch over to audio, and you can see the camera is picking up audio from its internal microphones. If we had external audio connected here, we could then toggle through those different options. And then we also have some audio meters. We could also change the pad on our audio meters, our headphone volume, and speaker output as well. Now we've got our setup where we can name our camera, we can set our date and time. So if we wanted to set this manually, we would need to come in here and make the appropriate adjustments. Right now it is 6:05 p.m. and we can go ahead and hit update to save that. Now the first thing that we'd want to do is connect this camera via USB to a computer and run the software update just to make sure, because I'm sure there's a newer software update than version 9.1. So we'd want to make sure to run that. If we were connecting this to an ATEM, this is where we would set our camera ID so that if we're connected to an ATEM device over SDI, we can signify which camera this is and control it appropriately and remotely from an ATEM, which was also a reason why I wanted one of these cameras, because my setup in here is all SDI and camera controlled from an ATEM. It's nice being able to trigger things like record, start, and stop and make changes to camera settings without having to go over to the camera itself. All right, so now we're back on the main LCD screen here. I can make ISO settings by hitting that button and then making changes here with the wheel, or simply just tapping on the screen and going between these different increments. I also have quick access to my white balance and my shutter angle. Go ahead and hit record and grab a little bit of footage here. Definitely need to make some adjustments to the peaking. It's just maybe a little too subtle, and I could barely tell the peaking levels as I'm trying to focus on the top of this lens cap. So what are my initial thoughts so far just holding this camera for basically the first time? I have to say, this is a pretty lightweight setup considering that I can capture 6K open gate with this setup here, very much handheld, have a lot of mounting options all the way around the camera now that I have these plates from 8sen on it. Definitely have good mounting options on the base as well should I want to attach this to a shoulder rig setup. This would be a little heavy for a smaller gimbal. You definitely want to go with a big Ronin if you're going to be flying this around. It's a heavier camera when you have it rigged up like this, and so you might want to go more minimal and definitely keep things as simple as possible. But overall, this is pretty lightweight for what it is, and I'm excited to get started using it. So if you're interested, I'll have a review of this unit after I get back from NAB and have a chance to do some shooting with it. So make sure to subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up, because even though this didn't necessarily go as I wanted it to, assembling everything here, it was still fun to sit down and play around with the camera and get it somewhat put together. So give me a thumbs up for effort, and I'll be back with my full review of the camera soon.